I'm Monji. This is Ryan. We're talking Liber Imperium and the Sisters of Silence, a brand new army coming to the Horus Heresy. Ryan, you've been playing Heresy for a while. What do you think about the Sisters? Talking Sisters of Silence, man, where do we want to start?
Here's the army that no one saw coming, or no one heard coming. And, the entire thing is excellent. I am speechless. If there's an army that can make me speechless, this might be it. Just looking over some of the features they get in this, I mean, it's all very, very, very good. And this is obviously written by someone who loved Sisters of Silence and felt that they needed a place in Horus Heresy.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about taking an army that was part of Talons of the Emperor, right? It was Sisters and Custodes in the previous edition, and now they're their own separate army.
Right. They're so separate, in fact, you can't ally them together.
What?
Per the current rules.
Really?
Yeah, really. They're not even on the ally charts.
Well, that would make things pretty awkward if you wanted to do a Burning of Prospero game, wouldn't it?
It sure would.
I had thought we were going to see a lot of new units. I was certainly expecting new Rites of War and things like that. But to see a brand new army when we're not even a year into the new edition really took me off guard. And to see that it's Sisters, which has been... People have been wanting this army for, 8 years?
Right.
So what is your high level, as a Talons player, as a man who loves his golden toys?
I am very excited for this army. I think that, it has plenty of options in here, and it is definitely a big surprise. It pains me a little bit that they can't be allied in because with Custodes, because in so many ways I would use them to fill in troop slots, to fill in gaps in my army that I just couldn't fit points wise. So that is no longer there. But as a independent army unto themselves, they are awesome. They have great warlord traits, they have great HQs, and they have really interesting mechanics on how you actually build the army.
Yeah, the army construction is really cool. So they have sort of a chamber system where there's 3 chambers that each give their own rules.
We got Vigilance and Oblivion and Judgment.
Right. And each Sisters unit belongs to one of the 3 chambers, but your army kind of themes around the chamber as you go, right?
Right. You're essentially kind of building them like Drukhari, where you have the covens and you fit all the HQs into those covens, and they give you the special rules across the army. Yeah.
And those rules are pretty spicy, right? Every sister unit starts off with hatred for Psykers, demons, and corrupted. So if you're playing Thousand Sons or Word Bearers, the last thing you want to see is a Sisters army.
Absolutely. I mean, they are so detrimental that they take away most of the advantages of that army that they get with a psychic ability.
They actually, this is my favorite part. As an Ultramarine fan, I love it when anybody hates on Word Bearers, and Sisters of Silence have an army-wide rule that everything near them gets -1 or -2 leadership, ignoring everything that could possibly stop that effect from happening, including the Word Bearers Legion trait. So, go to hell, Lorgar.
Do you hate them enough to collect the Sisters army, though?
Probably.
Okay, good.
Obviously, if you're a Thousand Sons player or a Word Bearers player, this is an army that is just absolutely going to give you the business.
Yeah.
I seriously don't know what you do against this besides shoot them and pray to God their toughness 3, lets them down. But
these abilities absolutely shut down the psychic, phase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, every power, they can't be affected by psychic powers. Right. They give penalties to the roll. So.
Right.
Even if you want to run your telepathy librarian, which everyone loves to run right now,
that is the hotness.
Sisters just don't care.
No, they are the army of no when it comes to psychic.
Yeah. So
let's talk about the HQs. Some of the best parts of the army are the HQs. You of course have Janisha Cole coming back, Kroll.
What a stack of keywords!
What? Oh my god! So not that you can see it, but half the page is keywords here, and let's talk about the best keyword that they have.
You mean Ex Oblivio?
I do. Ex Oblivio essentially, before combat even starts, I-10 level,
before I-10, explicitly.
I-10. True. Before I-10, your chosen opponent goes down to Weapon Skull 1. So if you're struggling against anything in close combat, this is an answer. You can fight a Dreadnought. You can fight... Can we fight a Primarch?
Primarchs can't have their stats lowered, but you can lower stats on, say, Custodes Tribunes, or Sigismund, or Corswain, or those big weapon skill 5 Terminators people like running. That big weapon skill 6 Knights in Obium, what if he was hitting Janisha Kroll on 6s? But not just Janisha Kroll has this.
That's right. We also have, 3 others? The Knight Abyssal, the Knight Centura. Yeah. I mean, it just keeps going. The HQs in this book are so good, and of course they are focused mainly on the different chambers.
Yeah, and the key thing here is each chamber actually affects your army construction. So for every HQ you run, you get to run 2 units of their chambers. So this is going to be, I think, a pretty heavy HQ army if you want to run a lot of Sisters units.
I think so, and that's going to give you kind of a wide variety of options on how to address different armies. But I think when you do build it, you do have to have, some goals in mind, some focus. You can't just choose a bunch of HQs and then hope it all works together.
I mean, we're talking 11 brand new units for this army, so you're going to be able to do so much more than you could in first edition.
Did you expect to see a brand new army this early in Horus Heresy 2.0? I would say that the one downside, though, or at least one of the downsides to Sisters right now, is that you have all these amazing units. You have your knights, you have your eradicators, you have your prosecutors, you have transports and firebrands and all these new units, but they don't have models, and I mean, even we haven't seen anything coming kind of on the horizon.
Yeah, there's no sign of when we're going to see these new models hit, and who knows if they're going to be Forge World or plastic. My gut tells me, similar to the previous Sisters of Silence box,
right,
there's going to be like some form of like new sprue or upgrade kit, maybe on Forge World, maybe in plastic, where we're going to see like the different ways to build these squads. But there's like 2-up save Sisters units. That's not a kit we're going to see with the existing models.
Right. There's also the Sisters jet bikes that are coming.
Oh yeah, the jet bikes are here.
And you get an HQ choice with them too.
Yes.
So you have a sister riding around like commanding an army from a jet bike, and we don't have any idea what those are going to look like. There's a lot of excitement around this army, and this was probably one of the things that I just didn't see coming. Mm-hmm. I thought we'd have Talons of the Emperor, but this is completely new. I thought this would come out in a black book.
So how do you think people are going to be playing Sisters in the new edition?
I think it's going to be infantry heavy, because one of the things about the army is it has very little vehicle support. You do, of course, have your
the Acquisitor.
The Acquisitor, the floating submarine.
The coolest transport in all of Warhammer.
It's true. So I think you'll have that. And for the most part, it's going to be a lot of just foot-slogging infantry. And, of course, some minor transports like the Acquisitor. And
the Termite Assault Drill making its first appearance in a Liber.
They did come out in the...
Were they in the Marine?
They were in the Mechanicum.
No, they were added as a PDF to the Mechanicum.
True. So the Scutari got them. And I do believe they are in the Astartes book.
Yeah. Past that, you have an army that is, I think... They have good armor save. We're talking 3-up saves, army-wide. But they are rocking that base strength and toughness 3. So I feel like this is going to be a fragile army that requires finesse. A lot of consideration when you're building the army. The big thing here is that these units are bargain basement cheap.
That's true. I mean, they are absolutely dirt cheap. Knight Centura, which is an HQ, 55 points. Silent Fury, 65 points, also an HQ. The Questor Cadre, 3-man units, 65 points. I mean, you are going to have an absolute mob of Sisters on the table.
Yeah, and that alone is going to present, I think, a significant challenge, because they're also very good in melee.
They are excellent in melee. Their shooting is okay. You can, of course, trick them out. The other thing that we're seeing coming, one of the great units, is their kind of Terminator variant.
Yeah.
So, I'm looking forward to all that. And as far as army construction, I think you really want to build it around your specific warlord traits. You have Maiden of Blood, you have Maiden of Resolve, Maiden of Sorrow, and they are easily the best warlord traits in the entire game.
When I first read this book and I started to read these warlord traits, folks, I mean, I've played a lot of Heresy the last few years. I've never seen mechanics this good.
I mean, these traits shape the entire army. It gives you options like ignoring pinning, ignoring morale test. It gives you feel no pain and Eternal Warrior. But that is all just in Maiden of Resolve. Yeah. I mean, then you have Maiden of Blood. These are also excellent. They're so good.
I was blown away as I was reading this. The worst warlord trait Sisters have is one that lets you get free attacks at the end of combat with the HQ whatever unit they're in. Folks, that's their worst one.
I think that they're going to be infantry heavy. They're going to be close combat specialists, and they're absolutely going to dumpster anything with a psychic ability.
Oh yeah, for sure. If we've seen a lot of psychic librarians take over the field
Right.
in a lot of heresy lists, and sisters are here to say, like, maybe put those guys back in the foam.
I would absolutely say that Liber Imperium, not just Sisters, not just Custodes, is going to be a book that reshapes the meta. You have Custodes coming in and taking care of things like Fury of the Ancients. You have Sisters coming in and changing the entire game as far as like the psychic faces played. I think, the game changes after this.
Absolutely. And if you're looking for like a brand new experience in the Horus Heresy, if you're looking to field an army that is going to just blow away anyone on the tabletop in terms of their visual look, or if you just want to style on somebody because you just know how to play the game way better than they do, Sisters is definitely your army. This is really incredible, and I can't wait till we see these new models.
All right, we're going to wrap it up here from the Bull's basement. Monji and Ryan are signing off.